how you doing out there, Guitar Heroes? All right, we're going to talk about capos today. And if you're not in the U.S., Capo. All right, well, what is this thing? Well, you can see I got one up here on the 5th fret, and there's basically 3 reasons why you might consider a capo. Okay, if you're a singer, gotta have it, no question about that. It helps with singing, and it also is good for beginners because you might want to learn one set of chords in a certain key. So as an example, if you key a G, which I was playing here, G, C, A minor, D, you'll be able to play songs by changing the capo position and still be able to stay in the original key of the song. Sometimes doesn't work 100% all the time because you can only come up. You can't go down past this, right? You can't go down this way. But that's what the purpose is. It raises the pitch is really what we're talking about. So let's see, do I have those? So for singing, it allows you to move in a position where it works for your voice. Number 2, it allows you to use a limited number of chords rather than I need to learn all 7 keys. I only maybe need 1 and I can play a whole bunch of songs. And the last thing is the sound itself. You can't get this sound with a bar chord. And of course there are songs that that's the way they're played. That's the way they're played. So I guess there's 4 reasons then why you need a capo. One, so let's go over those again. One would be the song's playing with the capo, like me playing these little chords here. Let's just say that's the way it was. And there's plenty of that. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it on TV, right, where somebody's got the capo. The other thing would be to move it around for singing. So in other words, if I said, oh boy, you know what, this is, that's way too high for me, I can't sing that. Okay, well, what if I move it down a couple? Now it's lower, and it could be easier for me to sing that. Okay, so there's one good reason for singing purposes. And then the other thing is an example like this. Okay, let's just say that the original key is in A. Okay, those chords are generally A, D, and E. But if you have a minor in there, you might have this F sharp minor. You say, oh no, I don't want to play that bar chord, because in the key of G you don't need A bar chords. You got, generally speaking, B minors are rarely played, just for those that know that all of the, but E minor and A minor are the 2 common ones. Well, those are both pretty simple to play. So if I was in A and I said, geez, I don't want to play that F sharp or the F sharp minor. Okay, great. Well, we know that we got this alphabetical thing going here, right? We go G, if I'm talking about the biggie. I start on the 3rd fret, I'm at G, right? I move up 2, I'm at A. Oh, okay, so that means if I play a G, like a G chord, if that's my starting point, and I want to go to the key of A because that's where they are, oh, well then that means that all I need to do to go from a G to an A is come up 2 frets, which is 1 whole step from a G to an A. Remember our alphabet now, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay? And then there's 2 spots where it's a little tricky, and that's between an F and an E where there's only 1, and a B and a C where there's only 1, but we don't have to worry about that. So you could play the G chords, the key of G chords, have the capo here, but you're actually playing in a song that starts with an A that's in the key of A. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense. And so that was really a big thing for me as a beginner, because I knew the key of G really well. I knew C, and I knew D, and I knew G, and I knew A minor, and I knew E minor. So what I tried to do is take chords or take songs. Okay, so let's say the Beatles for a sec. For an example, I'd buy a book and they would be all kinds of weird keys. There'd be B flats and Fs and things that I didn't feel comfortable with, or certainly couldn't move them around at all. Well, then I figured out if I messed with the capo a little bit, I could get in the same key. So there's that's another lesson on how to transpose. But the capo basically raises the pitch and then gives you that opportunity to play songs that are like that, or just to get that sound if you want. So so you got plenty of uses for a capo, no question about that. And as a beginner, I think it will help too, especially with the situation of I only want to play in one key because I know those chords really well. All right, so what is a capo? Well, here's what the thing looks like. I clothespin, and what's going on here? Well, I squeeze it, and then of course I'm putting it on the fret, and it's squeezing the strings down, and so it kind of takes the place of this position where the nut is up here. All right, so technically what we've done is we've moved this nut up here by using this device and change the pitch from to higher pitch, or just keeps going up. Now, one thing about the capos is I kind of like the clothespin because it comes off easy. There's a piece of rubber here so it doesn't damage your strings, and this part down here is probably the part that's probably most concerning, because this is going to go on the bottom of your, or on the back of the neck, and so you probably want, like, this has got a piece of rubber down here. This is all got some little teeth and some rubber, so that's so it doesn't damage that. Now, when you put the capo on, you always want to have it as close to the frets as you can get. But what I find is my fingers get in the way sometimes. If I try to play here's a good example. So I'm playing a G, then I want to play an E minor, and I go like this, and this part of my hand back here is hitting this already. So I have a little bit of trouble with that once you start using it. Now, I try to move the thing back a little bit, or you can angle it. The only thing that you're trying to avoid is getting this sound. Hear that buzzing? That's because we're too far. So it's just like any other, whenever you fret any chord, you always want to be as close to the back of the fret as you can, right? So it's the same concept with the capo. So generally speaking, do you absolutely have to have a capo right when you get started? No, you don't have to. But once you start learning a certain key, so you know these 5 chords in the key of G, and you said, oh, I'd like to play this song, but you know what, it's got a different set of chords. It's got a C, oh, I know that. Oh, it's got an F in it, and it's got a G7 and a D minor, and I don't know those chords, and I don't really want to have to learn them just for that one song. You would be able to play your same G chords, and then just mess with the capo until you get to that same key. And you can do it by ear if you're kind of listening to it. You kind of hit this big string, and generally you'll be able to find if you're in the right spot. To see if you're going to play a G, you say, that sounds too low. Okay, so let me put this thing on, and this gives you a little opportunity to kind of discover how to hear these changes in pitch. Oh, there it is right there. That's an example. So there's some complexity associated with all this. I'm trying to, make it simple. At least give you some ideas. What is a capo? What do you use it for? So now we know why we use it. We use it to play that, to get that sound up here. We do it because a singer might need to move the key one place or the other. And so here's a perfect example, another example. There's songs that I can't sing, but I'm really close to being able to sing it, but I kind of squeak on the high parts. Well, one thing that I could do is move this capo down. Now, you got to keep in mind, if somebody's playing with you, they got to do the same thing. If you're playing by yourself, of course, it doesn't matter. So that's why, from a beginner's perspective, and a kind of learning songs, it doesn't really matter. But that's really the only issue is to make sure that if you got somebody with you, then you have to be, in tune, so to speak. Got to be in the same key. So I know that's a lot of information all at once, but just kind of an introduction to a capo, and this is one of them. These things, they're like $10, maybe they're 15. I can't remember. These I've had for a long time. Here's another one. It's kind of the same thing. It's got a little curl on the end here, but it's basically the same clothespin type. There's other types. I like these. I've used these for years and years and years, and I would recommend something like this to get started. And obviously, you want to give them a try. I wouldn't run right out and get a capo right away. Make sure that you're at the point where you can play chords without looking at a reasonable speed, so you can actually play songs. If you can't play songs, then don't worry about a capo. That's not going to help you. So for that first period of time, whether it be 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatever it is, You might just want to be working on, hey, I need to learn these chords, and I need to learn, be able to change them without looking at a reasonable speed. Once you're there, now the capo is a reasonable tool. It's not a good tool if you're just getting started. Okay, well, I hope you got something out of this lesson, and keep on strumming out there, and we'll talk to you soon.